The money fell from Amara's locker like accusations wrapped in paper. 2 crumpled notes, small but damning, landed on the concrete floor of Golden Harvest Industries while 20 pairs of eyes watched in silence. Her hands trembled as she stared at the bills she had never touched, never seen, never stolen. Mr. Taiwo's voice cut through the air like a machete. So this is who you are? Amara opened her mouth, but no words came. Her throat had closed like a fist. Behind her, Judith whispered something to Blessing, and they both smiled. The factory floor felt like it was tilting, like the world had decided she didn't deserve to stand on it anymore. But this moment, this terrible unraveling, had started 3 weeks earlier under an ancient mango tree where an old woman sat waiting for someone to remember she was human. 3 weeks before the money fell, Amara woke to the sound of Chidi coughing in the darkness. Their one-room apartment smelled like kerosene and yesterday's rice. She touched his forehead. Still warm, but not burning. She could not afford burning. She lit the candle and counted the money in her purse. Transport. Lunch. Rent savings. The numbers never added up to enough, but they had to be enough because there was no other option. Sister, are you going to work? Chidi asked, his voice small in the dark. Yes. Study your books. I left bread for you. Only bread. Amara smiled even though her stomach was singing its own hunger song. There's groundnut paste. Spread it thick. She walked to the bus stop as the sun turned the sky orange. Port Harcourt was waking up, loud and restless. Okada riders shouted for passengers. Women balanced trays of plantain on their heads. Children in torn uniforms ran past her toward school. And at the junction, under the wide arms of the mango tree, Mama Beatrice sat on a mat that had more holes than fabric. Her wrapper was faded to almost nothing. Her slippers were broken, held together with black polythene. People walked past her like she was invisible. Some children threw words at her like stones. Which woman? Which woman? Mama Beatrice didn't flinch. She just stared ahead with eyes that had stopped asking for kindness. Amara saw her every morning. Every morning, something pulled in her chest. And every morning, she told herself she had nothing to give. But on this particular Tuesday, the bus broke down. The conductor shouted and kicked the tire like that would make the engine remember how to walk. Amara had to walk. The sun was already high and angry. Her small lunch, 2 slices of bread and a boiled egg, felt heavy in her bag. She passed the food vendor near the market, the one who scraped the burnt rice from the bottom of her pot and sold it cheap to those who couldn't afford pride. Please. Amara's voice shook. She hated how she sounded, like begging was something she'd been practicing. Can I have the leftover? I will pay you later. The woman looked her up and down with the kind of eyes that measure your worth in seconds. You want for yourself? Amara swallowed. Her stomach was empty, yes. Her mouth wanted food, yes. But when she looked at Mama Beatrice sitting silent under that tree, something in her refused to take the easy path. No. For her. She pointed. She looks weak. The woman scoffed and pushed a plastic plate across the wooden table. You people and your stories. It was the burnt part at the bottom, the part most people rejected, but to Amara it looked like a feast. Boys nearby started laughing. See fine girl begging for bottom pot. Give your number to the old woman too. The laughter chased her across the road. Her face burned, but she didn't stop. She carried the plate like it was something precious. She knelt beside Mama Beatrice and smiled, even though her heart was beating shame into her ribs. Good morning, Ma. Please eat. Mama Beatrice turned slowly. Her eyes, deep and knowing, searched Amara's face like she was reading something written there that Amara herself didn't know existed. What is your name? Amara. The old woman nodded. A good name. May the earth remember it. Amara wiped the plastic spoon with tissue and started feeding her. Small spoon by small spoon. People passed and stared. Some shook their heads. Some laughed. A woman hissed, "What is she looking for?" But Amara didn't stop. She found Mama Beatrice with folded cardboard. She cleaned the corners of her mouth with the last tissue in her bag. When the plate was empty, Mama Beatrice touched Amara's hand. Her palm was rough but warm. Child, kindness is a seed. The wind can't blow it away if you bury it deep. Amara didn't understand what that meant, but the words felt important, so she held them. She hurried to Golden Harvest Industries, already late, already tired, but her heart felt strangely light. She didn't know that the old woman sitting under that mango tree had once worn silk instead of torn wrappers. She didn't know Mama Beatrice had a son who owned the very factory where Amara tied rice bags for survival. She didn't know that son would soon stand over her file and decide her fate with a heart that had forgotten how to soften. But that knowledge was still hiding in the future. For now, a seed had been planted, and the earth was listening. When Amara walked onto the factory floor, Mr. Taiwo was waiting. His face was tight with the kind of anger that had been rehearsed. Late again. I'm sorry, sir. The boss. Save it. Every day there's a story. Go to line 3. She moved quickly to her station. Her co-workers, Judith and Blessing, exchanged looks. Judith had seen Amara at the market corner. During break, she leaned back and said loudly enough for everyone to hear, "Not everyone who acts kind is clean. Some people do it for show." Blessing laughed. True. And some people beg for leftovers to create pity. Amara heard them, but she kept quiet. She ate one slice of bread and saved the egg. When the bell rang, she walked with everything in her. Even in the noise of machines humming and bags rustling, she heard the echo of Mama Beatrice's words. A seed. Something worth protecting. At closing time, clouds gathered heavy and dark. Amara hurried back to the mango tree with the egg. Mama Beatrice was still there, coughing softly into her wrapper. Take, Ma. Amara pressed the egg into her palm. Tomorrow I will bring small pap. The old woman's eyes filled with something close to tears. Go home before the rain, child. As Amara walked away, the first drops began to fall. Across town, a black SUV rolled to a stop outside Golden Harvest Industries. A tall man stepped out, looked at the building, and checked his watch. His name was Daniel Okonkwo. He had come to tighten things, to fix leaks, to restore order. The world had taught him that softness was weakness, that people smiled only when they wanted to take something from you. He didn't know that the girl who had just placed an egg in an old woman's hand would soon break open every wall he had built around his heart. Daniel entered the conference room like weather, cold and unavoidable. He wore a white shirt with sleeves rolled to his elbows and a wristwatch that cost more than some people's yearly rent. Mrs. Adeyemi, the HR manager, stood when he walked in. She tried to smile. He didn't return it. Let's be clear, Daniel said, his voice low and final. Our numbers are falling. There are leaks everywhere. Too many favors. Too much softness. From today, we do things tight. No excuses. They went through files and reports. When Mr. Taiwo's unit came up, Daniel noticed a note scribbled in the margin. Amara, often late but hardworking, supports family. He frowned. Late is late, he said. If the bell rings at 8, be here by 8. I don't care about stories. Mrs. Adeyemi tried to speak softly. Sir, some of the staff travel far. Bosses break down. It's Port Harcourt. Then they should leave earlier. After the meeting, Daniel walked through the factory floor. Workers stiffened when he passed. He stopped at line 3. Amara was packing rice, moving fast and carefully, tying bags and checking weights. Sweat gathered at her hairline. She didn't see him at first. When she looked up, her heart jumped. Good afternoon, sir. Daniel's eyes were cold and measuring. He glanced at the clock on the wall. You resumed at 8:20. Why? Amara swallowed. The boss, sir. I'm sorry. He nodded slowly. One more time and you're out. He walked away. Judith watched the exchange and smiled without warmth. She whispered to Blessing, you see. He doesn't like her already. But something had happened in that brief moment. Daniel had seen the way Amara's hands moved, careful and steady. He had seen the way sweat lined her forehead, the way she didn't make excuses, just apologized and kept walking. It confused him. He had trained himself to see lies. This didn't look like a lie. But he pushed the thought away. He had been fooled before. Days passed. Amara kept returning to Mama Beatrice. She brought small things, bread, pap, once a sachet of medicine for the cough. She didn't know why she kept going. She just knew that if she stopped, something important would break inside her. Mama Beatrice never asked for anything. She just watched Amara with eyes that seemed to know more than they said. One morning, Amara arrived at the mango tree and Mama Beatrice wasn't there. Panic climbed into her chest. "Please, where is the old woman who sits here?" she asked the fruit seller. The woman waved her hand tiredly. "She fainted early this morning. Some boys carried her to St. Anthony's clinic." Amara ran. Her back slapped against her side. Her breath came sharp. At the clinic, the nurse shook her head before Amara even asked. "We admitted her. She needs tests. Who will pay?" Amara opened her purse. She had transport money and half the rent she had been saving for 2 months. Her hands shook as she counted the notes. "Please start with this. I will find the rest." The nurse looked at her with pity. "It is not enough. Please let me stay with her." They let her in. Mama Beatrice lay on a thin mattress, wrapped in a threadbare blanket. Her breathing was shallow, like waves pulling back from shore. Amara sat beside her and took her hand. "Ma, I am here." The old woman's eyes opened slowly. "Child, I will stay." Outside in the hallway, Judith had come to the clinic to buy headache tablets. When she saw Amara at the bedside through the window, her mouth twisted. She took a picture with her phone, pretending she was texting. "So this is where her lateness is coming from," she whispered to her friend. "She's playing nurse to a street woman." Her friend laughed. "Maybe the woman will leave her a mansion in her will." Their laughter reached Amara's ears. Shame pricked her skin like needles. She pressed Mama Beatrice's hand tighter. "Don't mind them, Ma. You will be fine." By afternoon, Amara's phone rang. It was Mr. Taiwo. "Where are you?" "At the clinic, sir. An old woman is." "Save it. If you don't resume by tomorrow morning, don't come back." The call ended. Amara closed her eyes. Her throat tightened. She prayed without speaking, just feeling the words somewhere under her ribs. That evening, rain fell like a curtain. A black SUV stopped near the clinic gate. Daniel stepped out, speaking to someone on the phone. He wore impatience like a second skin. As he stood by the entrance avoiding the rain, he saw her again. The girl from line 3. Soaked to the skin. Clutching a nylon bag. She slipped, nearly fell, then caught herself and kept moving. He frowned. What is she doing here? He turned to leave but hesitated. Something in her face, the stubborn kindness, the way she held her fear like a cup and didn't spill it, made him pause. He shook off the feeling and left. The rain kept falling. Amara reached home late, borrowed money from a neighbor who made her beg twice before giving, and returned to the clinic in the dark. She sat again by Mama Beatrice, whispered a lullaby her mother used to sing when life was still soft, and kept watch until dawn. Daniel was early at Golden Harvest the next day. He called for stricter time checks and ordered the staff gate locked at 8 sharp. When Amara arrived, tired from her night vigil, the gate was already closed. She begged the security man. Please. Just this morning. Emeka, the guard, shook his head. Oga's new rule. Amara stood by the fence, chest tight. A few workers pointed and whispered. Judith took another secret picture and smiled. At 8:30, Daniel walked by with Mrs. Adeyemi. He saw Amara outside and gestured to the guard. The gate opened. Thank you, sir, Amara said, breathless. Daniel's face was blank. "CHR after your shift." All day, Amara worked like two people, pushing aside fear. During lunch, she slipped to the clinic, fed Mama Beatrice pap, told her small jokes, and rushed back before the bell ended. She arrived at HR shaking. Mrs. Adeyemi's voice was gentle. "Amara, I know you are trying, but the new rule is strict. We will issue a warning letter. One more and it becomes termination." Amara nodded, tears burning her eyes. "Yes, Ma." When she left the office, Daniel was in the corridor speaking with a supplier. He watched her pass, face pale but steady. Something pinched in his chest. He pushed it away. That night, Daniel sat in his apartment and stared at the brown envelope on his table. Inside was a receipt for an anonymous donation to St. Anthony's Clinic. He had sent his driver there earlier with cash, enough to cover half the old woman's bill. He told himself it was just to quiet the noise in his head. But the noise didn't quiet. It got louder. Days turned into a week. Amara kept visiting. Mama Beatrice grew stronger, color returning to her face. And then, on a Friday, everything broke. Petty cash went missing from Mr. Taiwo's drawer. It wasn't much, but it was enough to cause noise. Judith had been planning this carefully. She had seen the way Daniel's eyes sometimes followed Amara for a second too long. It made her furious. She wanted attention. She wanted power. So during lunch, when everyone was outside, Judith slipped 2 notes into Amara's locker. She made sure the angle was hidden from the main camera, but she didn't know about the hallway lens. By 3 o'clock, Mr. Taiwo called a search. They opened lockers one by one. When they reached Amara's, the money fell out like an accusation. A cold silence spread across the floor. Amara's lips parted. "Sir, I don't know how." Mr. Taiwo's face was tight. "HR. Now." In the HR office, Mrs. Adeyemi's eyes were tired. "Amara, this does not look good." Amara shook, then forced herself still. "Ma, I did not take any money. Someone wants to ruin me." The door opened. Daniel entered without warning. He looked from the notes to Amara. His face was stone. "We have rules for a reason," he said, voice low and hard. "If you are lying, leave now before I call the police." Amara stood. Her shame felt like heat climbing her neck, but she lifted her chin. "I did not steal," she said clearly. "If you like, search my house. I may be poor, but I am not a thief." Daniel's face didn't change. He turned to Mrs. Adeyemi. "Suspend her for a week while we review cameras. If we confirm theft, terminate." Amara walked out. People watched from doorways. Someone hissed. Someone laughed quietly. She moved past them like a ghost and found her way to the clinic. When Mama Beatrice saw her face, she knew immediately. Child. Amara knelt, holding the old woman's hand with both of hers. Tears finally fell. "They said I stole money. They suspended me." Mama Beatrice's eyes sharpened. There was fire in them, the kind that doesn't go out. "Listen to me," she said softly. "Truth walks slowly, but it always reaches home. Keep your head up. Ma, what if they sack me? How will I pay rent? How will Chidi eat?" The old woman closed her wrinkled fingers around Amara's hand. "The same God who gave you the courage to feed me will not shame you." That night, Amara sat by the clinic window watching rain draw lines on the glass. She felt small and tired. But somewhere under the tiredness, a stubborn light stayed. She was not perfect. She was not strong every minute. But she had not stolen. She would not bow to a lie. In another part of town, Daniel watched the camera review on his laptop. He saw Judith walk near the lockers. The angle was poor, her hand hidden by her body. He saw Amara enter later, innocent and unaware. He rubbed his forehead. "I need the hallway camera too," he muttered. The IT department sent the file an hour later. The hallway camera had caught it. Not perfectly, but enough. Judith's shadow, her movement, the moment she slipped something into the locker. Daniel leaned back in his chair. His chest felt strange, tight and loose at the same time. He had almost destroyed an innocent woman because he had stopped believing innocent women existed. He made calls. To IT. To security. To HR. We end this properly, he said. No rushing. But it ends. The next morning, a message went out. All staff town hall at noon. Attendance compulsory. People gossiped. Maybe they will sack someone. Maybe they will praise someone. Judith adjusted her blouse and fixed her smile. She thought she had won. At 10 o'clock, Daniel's driver walked into St. Anthony's clinic. Mama, good morning. Mama Beatrice's eyes sharpened. My son. Madam, he whispered. Olga is doing a staff meeting today. Do you want to go? She looked at Amara, then back at the driver. Yes. Wheelchair, please. Amara blinked. Ma, are you sure? It will be noisy. The old woman smiled. Some truths need a crowd. They reached Golden Harvest just before noon. The guard at the gate frowned at the wheelchair. Emeka stepped forward, saw Amara pushing the chair, and grinned. Clinic shift to company, he sneered. Then he saw the driver and froze. The driver nodded once. Open. Emeka stepped aside quickly. Inside the hall, workers gathered in rows. The stage was simple. A table, 2 microphones, a projector. Daniel stood straight, jaw set. Mrs. Adeyemi and the IT head flanked him. Amara pushed the chair to the back row and sat beside Mama Beatrice. People turned to stare. Why is that beggar here? So she now attends our meetings. Shameless. The words floated like flies. Mama Beatrice sat quietly, eyes on the stage, hands folded in her lap. Judith saw them and smiled. Perfect, she thought. When the boss shames Amara today, everyone will watch. Daniel stepped to the microphone. Good afternoon. The hall answered in a dull wave. We are here to talk about standards and truth. A soft hush began to spread. He clicked the projector. Camera screenshots appeared. Time-stamped clips of the locker corridor. A figure moving near Amara's locker during lunch. The angle wasn't perfect, but the hairstyle and jacket were familiar. Another clip showed Emeka standing with master keys, lingering too long, looking around. Another clip showed Judith and 2 others huddled, phones out, faces bright with gossip. Murmurs rose. Heads turned. Eyes shifted to Judith. Daniel's voice stayed steady. We also traced a fake social media account that posted lies about a staff member's behavior. The account was created and used from devices that log onto this building's Wi-Fi during work hours. The devices matched 3 staff IDs. Silence grew heavy. Finally, he said, the WhatsApp leak of a private photo was encouraged by a supervisor who reacted with mockery instead of stopping the shame. Mr. Taiwo's face drained. Judith stood, furious. This is not proof, she cried. Anyone can. Daniel lifted a hand. You will speak after HR reads the findings. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for part 2 of this story. Share your thoughts below. What lesson did you take from Amara's kindness? Share this video with someone who needs a reminder that kindness always wins.